This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some important updates to share with you. With the House passing the $1.7 trillion bill, there's going to be some big changes in our country, especially when it comes to Social Security. So even though there is a big raise to Social Security coming, there are some things to be aware of and to prepare for because it's not all good changes. So I'll let you know those. Also, there is $914 checks coming in just a few days. And then also Americans will save up to $400 a year thanks to new relief bill. And I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Tuesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more daily, straight to the point updates on matters that financially matter to you. So, House passes the $1.7 trillion bill, passed in the Senate, passed in the House, but this 4,100 page bill has a lot of changes coming to America. So we're going to go over the Social Security changes. Also, the big question of is there going to be a $200 a month raise for Social Security recipients? We'll get to that, but first, Social Security's largest raise since 1982 comes with bad news for retirees. So we'll go over this article here. Social Security benefits will get a big cost of living adjustment next year, but that good news may also have negative consequences for retired workers. So we all know that the COLA adjustment is going to 8.7%, the largest in many years, and actually since 1982, and it's the fourth largest raise in history. Now, this is sort of good news, but there is some bad news that comes along with it. So one of them, more retired workers will owe federal income tax on Social Security benefits. So initially, Social Security benefits were exempt from federal income tax, but Congress changed that law in 1983, authorizing the taxation of benefits for individuals whose income exceeded certain thresholds. A second higher threshold was added in 1993. So oddly, those thresholds have never been adjusted for inflation. That is problematic because benefits have been adjusted for inflation. In other words, each COLA applied to benefits since 1983 has pushed more beneficiaries over the income thresholds. In fact, less than 10% of beneficiaries owed taxes on Social Security income when the law went into effect. But that figure is around 50% today, and a big COLA in 2023 will add momentum to the problem. So not really sure what the logic is, but by that change from 1983 with that extra tax, but it's not looking good, especially the more money you make, the more money gets taxed. So tax liability depends on one, filing status, and two, combined income, which is defined as the sum of modified adjusted gross income plus 1/2 of Social Security benefits. Here are the details. So single taxpayers, if combined income falls between $25,000 and $34,000, up to 50% of Social Security benefits are taxable. If combined income exceeds $34,000, up to 85% of Social Security benefits are taxable. Now, when you, for married taxpayers, filing jointly, if combined income falls between $32,000 and $44,000, up to 50% of Social Security benefits are taxable. If combined income exceeds $44,000, up to 85% of Social Security benefits are taxable. 85%, that is huge. So also, the Social Security Trust Fund may be depleted earlier than anticipated. So the aging baby boomer population has created a financial problem for the Social Security program. Costs are rising more quickly than revenue. In fact, Social Security program ran a $56 billion deficit in 2021, and that trend is expected to continue indefinitely. So personally, I'm 36 years old, which means by the time I retire, there may not be Social Security, and it may even happen sooner. The Social Security Trust Fund is on track to be depleted by 2035, and the program is facing a $20 trillion shortfall through 2096, according to the Board of Trustees. That does not mean retired workers will completely lose benefits, but it could lead to a pay cut if Congress fails to resolve the problem. So yeah, it looks like 2035 is the latest date, and if it's running at a deficit, not looking good. So those are the two problems there. Also, this article right here, 3 Social Security changes Joe Biden wants that Republicans support too. So we'll go over those. One of them, increase the payroll tax cap. So Social Security is on track to become insolvent by 2035. Just mentioned that. Now, in 2023, the maximum salary subject to Social Security payroll taxes will be $160,200, up from $147,000, which means that there could be more payroll tax to fund the solvency of Social Security, which could mean that it'll last longer and pay out more, and there won't be a huge deficit. Number 2, raise the minimum benefit. Biden would also like to implement a true minimum benefit for retirees who receive Social Security. During his presidential campaign, he proposed setting the minimum benefit for anyone who worked at least 30 years to 125% of the poverty level. The idea gained solid bipartisan support in the PPC survey. More Democrats favored the idea than Republicans, 71% for Democrats, 59% for Democrats. However, increasing the minimum benefit appears to be a winner politically. So that could be a possibility. And then change how COLAs are calculated. The big story of Social Security this year has been the huge cost of living adjustment. However, there's been criticism for quite a while that the COLAs are calculated, the way the COLAs are calculated doesn't truly reflect the cost that seniors pay. So basically what it's saying here is that the COLA is going off of the numbers for the rest of the working members of society, working families, people who are earning more, but there should be a totally different type of COLA for people on Social Security. So a lot of these changes are put in the Social Security Expansion Act, which also comes with this. Will Social Security recipients get an extra $200 per month in 2023? That's the big question too, because President Biden ran on that almost 2 years ago. Well, I guess it's kind of over 2 years, but putting that in his campaign promise that every Social Security recipient will get an additional $200 per month or $2,400 a year, which also Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and colleagues introduced legislation to expand Social Security by $2,400 a year and extend solvency for 75 years. So back to the question, will there be a $200 a month increase? I hope so, because a lot of people are suffering, and this was a promise. But this Social Security Expansion Act, although introduced in 2022, I guess 6 months ago, it would have to be reintroduced in 2023, which could include the $200 extra per month. So we're going to see with the new Congress what comes about of it and what changes are going to happen. Stay tuned for that. If you want to know more about Social Security changes, subscribe to the channel, because any news that comes out of Social Security, I'll definitely keep you updated on that. Also, when it comes to Social Security, a little announcement here. So it's actually 3 days left until millions of Americans get $914 direct payment before New Year's Eve. So this is coming out December 30th. Due to the 8.7% increase COLA, SSI is going to get their payment December 30th instead of January 1st. So 2 payments this month for December for SSI, and the maximum SSI benefit is $914. So you could calculate what yours is going to be. The maximum for 2022 was $841. So that will turn it to $914. And then the reason why these changes need to happen is because Americans are suffering more and more, and supposedly we're not even at the worst part of the economy yet. Supposedly there's going to be a big recession. Even though we had a recession before, wasn't really affecting the economy too much, but they say it's going to get a lot worse for 2023, and the average American has less savings this year. Here's why. So Americans saved a lot of money in 2021, but the average savings account balance has declined in 2022. There are several factors explaining the decline, including inflation, more spending opportunities, and less government stimulus money. So due to those reasons, and also things getting a lot more expensive, When you see the prices at the grocery store, when you see the prices of heating a home like now in winter, which is crazy. I'm here in South Carolina and I woke up this morning, it was 21 degrees here in South Carolina. So heating bills are going up, utility bills are going up, food prices are going up. Everyone is getting squeezed and their bank accounts keep getting smaller and smaller. Now we're seeing some relief programs coming about, but really not enough. For example, this is the latest one. Americans will save up to $400 a year thanks to new relief bill. See who qualifies for the extra money. So when it comes to this is going on in Florida, and the new legislation will provide drivers who use transponders to pay for tolls at least 35 times per month, a 50% credit on their account. So basically, this is mainly affecting drivers in Florida starting January 1st, 2023, running through December 31st of 2023. This could save the average driver in Florida around $400 in 2023. But things like that may be good. $400 is a good amount. But what about the rest of the country? We're seeing not as many stimulus programs come out, especially while costs are getting high. Everything is getting a lot more expensive, but we're not seeing the relief to match that. Switching gears a little bit, when it comes to that big bill, the $1.7 trillion bill, not everyone is happy with it. I think understandably so. Both Democrats and Republicans were sneaking some weird deals in there. This usually happens every year with the omnibus. This is a way for politicians to kind of pay back their donors and whoever is keeping them in office, giving those big campaign contributions. So there's a lot of like not the best things in that bill, and it's still being discovered because who has time to read a 4,000-page bill? Take a look from the Republicans' perspective right here.
So let's bring in South Carolina Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She voted against this trillion-dollar spending bill. Nancy, help me out a little bit. What Aisha said there, Kevin McCarthy is threatening to what? Not hear bills that are sponsored by senators as a way of retaliation, if you will, because they voted with it? Parse out the politics for me here.
Well, I think that there's a lot of frustration and anger with House Republicans over what went down last week. We're talking about a 4,000-page bill crafted behind closed doors that does nothing but pour gasoline on the fire that is inflation. And I have to tell you, my son, he turns 16 today. We're going to have birthday dinner tonight, and he's going to want money for his birthday. But that doesn't mean I'm taking out loans from family members and giving him a credit card with no limits. And neither, too, should the federal government. I think people are very frustrated with the process and the lack of responsible spending in this thing. It's a monstrosity. And don't get me started on the border. It's devastating what they're going to do.
All right, so that's water under the bridge, right? So this bill has been passed. It will be signed. What can you and other conservatives do in the near term to turn off the tap? Is there anything you can do?
Well, there's nothing we can do in the short term, and we can't do anything until we're in the majority next year and we have another continuing resolution or another spending bill before us. But it's very disappointing. And when I was reading some of finally got time to read some of the legislation, $1.5 billion going to cement the relationship between the White House and the cartels. The cartels are engaged in human trafficking and drug trafficking across our border every single day. And we gave almost $500 million to other countries to secure their borders. And I hope when Kevin McCarthy is Speaker, because I believe he will be, that he's going to hold the Senate's feet to the fire, because this is wrong.
So, Congresswoman, people talk about bipartisanship all the time. Let me ask you, how often during the day do you speak to people across the aisle?
I speak to Democrats all the time. In fact, as a freshman and as a conservative in my first term in Congress, I passed over 20 bills out of the various committees that I work on with Democrats. And in fact, over 10 of mine passed out of the House. And most recently, President Biden just last week signed a cybersecurity bill that I worked with Congressman Ro Khanna out of California on, was signed into law. It is important for us to reach across the aisle, but that's not really, in the House side of things on this omnibus bill, what's happening wasn't bipartisan in any way, shape, or form.
Right. And then let me ask you, do you feel beholden to leadership?
Well, I often joke, because I represent a very independent district, a very purple swing district, and I am a caucus of one. I sort of march the beat of my own drum because that really represents the independent voice of my district, which is why you see me work with Republicans sometimes and work with Democrats. And when I go and I look at what's wrong, I hold both sides accountable. When we talk about deficit spending and taxes in this country, Republicans and Democrats alike have been a problem. They've both added to the deficit, which is what the omnibus bill is going to do. We saw 18 Republicans last week vote for it. They're adding to our deficit with this thing, and that's not good for inflation.
Congresswoman, thank you very much for taking the time today. Appreciate it. Back.
So what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree, disagree? And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day, and I am going to be telling you that you always need to have fun at the playground or at anything. You need to have fun with yourself and enjoy yourself how you are right now, because the day after it won't be around. So you have to enjoy the day first. Bye!
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your support. Hope you had a great Christmas holiday. So I know I didn't really post much the past 3 days, Christmas Day. Yeah, those Christmas days, I went to go see some family, and it was so hard because we had a bunch of family members that I haven't seen in so long. So yeah, it was hard to get away and provide an update. Besides, not much really happened anyway. But yeah, it was a good time, really good time. Hopefully you had a good holiday. I'm starting to walk a little bit more, still with crutches, so almost able to walk on my own. And yeah, anyways, hopefully you have a great rest of your day. If you want to check out any of my other videos, my other channels, click right up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.